ladies and gentlemen. It is your host with the most, Mike, the boy wonder Brandy, one half of the wrestling podcast, Hold the Brandy. The other half being Kevin Hollywood Holden. Yes, that name is copyright infringement, at least to me, but that's neither here nor there. Me and him will work on that. But yeah, this is our first episode of Hold the Brandy Wrestling Podcast. We talked so much that we basically broke it out into two parts. In this part, we talk about WWE and how they're handling a no audience situation due to COVID-19 that's affecting all wrestling promotions right now. So we get down to the nitty-gritty of that and our different opinion of how they're handling that. And then in the second part, we talk about AEW, how they're handling the issue of COVID-19, independent wrestlers, contractors. Kevin has a whole spill on that. Also, as well as the WrestleMania card and the favorite wrestler in the moment, and that wrestler's your favorite match with that wrestler being in it. Other than that, you guys are ready. Let's get right down to it. All right, hello listeners. My name is Mike Brandy, the boy wonder, and I'm sitting here with
Kevin Holden. Hollywood Kevin Holden, whatever you want to call me.
Once again, I believe that's copyright infringement for Hollywood Hogan. But we are here to talk professional wrestling. Kevin, tell the audience a little bit about yourself. Make it brief, Kev. Make it brief.
Oh, man.
Hit him.
I've been watching wrestling, since I was about 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Started off with a birthday party when I was turning, when was it? 97, 96, whenever WrestleMania 12 was coming up, main event. Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Iron Man match 60S. It's my favorite match of all time. It's nostalgic, and I feel like the ultimate classic wrestling match between two wrestling guys, faces of the company, just competing over who was going to take over and lead the company into the future. That's when it all started for me. Bret Hart guy through and through. And ever since then, diehard wrestling fan. Old habits die hard. This is every man has that part of their childhood that never dies. Wrestling is it for me. So
I concur with that.
To this day, just can't give it up.
Till this day.
To this day.
And that's a reference to that man who got beat in a boxing match. But let's not talk about that. Let's focus on wrestling right now. Me, I've been a fan of wrestling a long time myself. Growing up in grade school in, Buffalo, New York is where I'm from. There was all the kids who were into wrestling, and, I was like, okay, it's all right. I was more into the Marvel DC comics at the time. Then a game came out called WCW versus NWO Revenge for the N64. Before that, obviously, you had the War Tour game. I played that game first, but it was that game, WCW versus NWO Revenge. They really was like, you know what? I like wrestling. I like watching it, but I'm really going to dive into it. And I dove into it. I played that and WWF Attitude, which was for the N64 as well. And I was immersed in the world, the Monday Night Wars, WCW and Monday Night Raw. And I stuck with it for a long time wrestling. There was a point where I stopped when I joined the Navy.
Yes.
It sort of trailed off because there was a lot of repetitive champions, as one day we'll probably discuss and complain about. But after that, there was a period where I started getting interested again, and I went to WrestleMania 30, which is in New Orleans, and that's when The Undertaker lost, famous WrestleMania. And since then, I've been hooked back again. Real quick, tell them how me and you realized that we both like wrestling.
Oh, man, this is great. So I joined the Navy Reserves about 2 years ago. And I was still a new guy, just hanging out. And then one day, just hanging out at the end of a drill period, we just finished PT in that day, and I decided to hang back and ask somebody a question. And I saw this guy, HM2 Brandy, chilling there, asking him a question. He was looking through his phone, and I saw him cycle through a picture of Kevin Owens that he quickly cycled through to show me something else. And I'm pretty sure he was probably slightly embarrassed And
Yes.
he just cycled through really fast so that I wouldn't notice.
Immediately.
And when he showed me the thing he wanted to show me, all I asked him was, "Oh, KO. All right, cool." And he instantly was like, "Oh, you know Kevin Owens?" I was like, "Yeah, man, I know all about that." He's like, "Oh, yeah. I guess I like wrestling." I was like, "I love wrestling." He's like, "Okay, I actually love wrestling."
I wasn't sure. I had to be sure. Like when you run into a fan of
But
Edge fan,
it's hard.
Yeah,
It's hard in this day and age because most people our age, when you run into them, they're like, "Oh yeah, I love wrestling, like Stone Cold and The Rock."
right.
Like that was from late 90s, early 2000s.
Right.
That's when everybody loved it. But if you see somebody that has something that's new age,
Right.
then you know that they're like a legit wrestling fan.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody loved wrestling in the late 90s, early 2000s. But if you love it now or before, like you actually like it.
It's
So
like
that's when I knew. I was like, all right, this guy. And then I saw your computer with all this Marvel DC stuff all over
Oh
it.
yeah, you knew it then.
And then
You
the
knew it.
pins on your computer bag, which are littered with nerd stuff. I was like, all right, this guy's down.
This guy's down, and I'm gonna save myself a little bit for nerds. I'm gonna reference sports because basically what you said is like you're not sure if somebody's into something, but it's like talking to a Mets fan and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm a Mets fan. Like, yeah, I really love when Mike Piazza played. Mike Piazza hasn't played almost fucking 20 years.
Yeah,
it's like running to somebody like that.
Mhm.
Like, okay, you're not a real.
That's
fan.
actually a great comparison.
Yeah, you're not a real fan, but okay, I'll entertain the conversation with you, type of situation. But yeah, that's how we sort of got into the whole wrestling thing. We went to an AEW show.
We did do that.
We were considering going to WrestleMania, which actually is going to be our topic, which is in Tampa. We're located in Jacksonville, Florida, and we're going to go to Tampa, Florida. Maybe at one point, we were sort of switching on and off.
Definitely, we're gonna go.
But lo and behold, fate decided for us that it's not going to happen.
And I'm glad it did. I was on the fence. I've talked to you about it many times.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hell yeah. Before, like, even matches were even played, like, hell yeah, I'm going to go to WrestleMania. It's here in Tampa. And then, like, when you saw the match card start to unfold and what they were building up to, like, my doubts just, like, started to play again. I was
Like you didn't want to spend the money?
God, they're going to do this Mickey Mouse, like, lame booking that is just going to be, like, so effortlessly, like, money-grabbing booking.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I thought at first. And then they brought Edge back, and I was like, he's definitely going to feud with Randy Orton. And then Randy Orton RKO's him out of nowhere. And it just, like, further established my belief, like, they're just gonna book what sells. They're not gonna book what makes sense.
Now
That makes sense in itself,
right?
But like,
yeah.
just to keep summarizing what I'm getting.
Yeah, sure.
The booking became questionable in my own mind,
Right.
and so at that point, I was like, I don't want to go,
Right.
but maybe like 5% of me still wanted to go because I lived in Tampa for a little bit. I know the city. I like to go back there. It's convenient. Plus, I like being around the fans and all the fanfare that's involved with WrestleMania. Like, that was the only part keeping me hooked in. And then this damn coronavirus.
The coronavirus, and mind you, he was on the fence before they booked Goldberg and Roman Reigns.
Oh my God. We'll get into that.
Yeah, because one of us here actually likes Goldberg and the other one doesn't. And mind you, he sort of referenced this earlier. One of us here is a Bret Hart fan, which is obviously Kevin, and HBK for me all the way, baby. HBK.
I don't even care they say HBK because I like him, but Goldberg.
Yeah. Goldberg.
I can't.
Right, let me not get out. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Let's not go on a tangent right now.
Let's not go on a tangent. I can say that for later. It might come up later.
It'll definitely come up later.
It'll definitely come up later. All right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Anyway, this booking was questionable even before there was hard plans for WrestleMania matches. And I'd like changed my mind. I didn't want to go anymore. And then all of a sudden this coronavirus outbreak started to happen. All sports, all professional sports started to close down one by one. And then WWE is like the only professional sports or sports entertainment that is holding out.
In classic Vince fashion. Classic Vince fashion. We know.
And I have my opinions on that, which I'm sure we can get into later. But I think at this point, right now, at this point, they're talking about doing a WrestleMania in Orlando at the Performance Center where they hold NXT.
2 nights.
A 2-night extravaganza.
Right.
But with no audience in the stands, the bleachers, whatever they call them at the Performance Center.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's absurd to me.
You don't like that idea. You were saying this before we even started.
I hate that idea.
Yeah.
Because pro wrestling is not great without the fans.
Okay.
I can understand doing a show or two without fans for extenuating circumstances, but to do the biggest show of the year across professional wrestling and sports entertainment with 0 fans makes no sense to me at all. I can elaborate that later. Okay, that is my standpoint.
Can I give my opinion on that?
You go right on ahead.
Because honestly, I agree with the idea.
Oh.
Yes, I agree. Not 100%, but I agree with the idea. Obviously, we are living in some tough times, right? And Vince McMahon and whoever, Triple H got demoted recently, but whoever Vince McMahon talked to, they see an opportunity, right? There is nothing on television that is live currently, really, right? Besides maybe some reality TV shows, if that, maybe.
If that.
Masked Singer, they're probably all pre-recorded, I assume, at this point, right?
They are. Yeah.
We have the opportunity for, and they are talking about maybe recording WrestleMania beforehand, maybe, but I still believe this is an opportunity that they take advantage of because no one's able to watch anything.
So you disagree?
I disagree
that with them carrying on with them holding at the Performance Center.
I agree that they should carry it on.
You think they should carry it on?
Right. You got to remember that we don't know when they're going to actually get rid of this, not get rid of this, but things resume back to normal, right? I mean, how long can you postpone WrestleMania? And how long can you postpone these storylines? Especially like, prime example, John Cena, big marquee match with Bray Wyatt. John Cena's schedule is
that's a very good point.
Very, very busy. Very busy man.
That's a good point. What do they do if they were to postpone it?
Right.
Are they going to make WrestleMania at a later date? Are they going to replace it with a different named pay-per-view all of a sudden? AJ Styles and Undertaker? After the promos that they've done and the build-up?
Pretty good promos, mind you. AJ Styles, I love it. You know, I'm a big AJ Styles mark. This has been established. But yeah, I just feel like you can't risk it, postponing it. And like you said, all the storylines. Obviously, you know, we don't know how long Goldberg's contract is to be active. Undertaker has a very limited time. I always mentioned John Cena. I think that's the big one there. Oh yeah, Edge. His health, you know. Honestly, Edge has been kind of busy too outside of wrestling. You know, TV shows, sort of straight to VOD or Blu-ray, whatever, movies and stuff like that. So that's kind of risky.
Yeah, I hate the idea of a WrestleMania with no audience.
With no audience.
But now I'm gonna elaborate on why.
Okay.
Pro wrestling is all about fans.
Oh, now you sound like a wrestler who's about to retire or give it up to the fans. But keep going.
I've been watching for 20 plus years.
Yeah, I know. That's a lot of...
It's all about the fans. I think the biggest conversation I've seen in regards to it is Rock and Hogan. Would Rock and Hogan be a good match without the fans? No.
Absolutely not. That audience...
It'd just be a technical match between a young, fit Rock and an old Hulk Hogan.
That crowd took over that match and cheered for Hogan.
Yeah. The crowd made that match.
They turned Hogan face that match.
And I think in professional wrestling, without a crowd, you just have fake fighting. like, there's no fanfare. If you're standing up on the top of a turnbuckle, there's no suspense anymore because the audience isn't there, like, holding their breath, watching somebody stand 5 feet above another person, or 10 feet if they're outside of the ring, like, getting ready to do a high-risk maneuver. It's just a dude standing there and jumping off something.
I need to interject immediately right now. Right now, I need to interject immediately. You know why I disagree with that? You want to know why?
Why?
The crowd 15, maybe almost 20, we're getting older, 15, 20 years ago, I would say yes. The crowd nowadays that wants to make a stupid chant during a match they feel is boring, or, you know, like, or they want to say, this is awesome when it's not even really awesome, thrown around. It annoys me when I watch a wrestling match, you know, it annoys me.
Yeah.
It annoys the hell out of me. Like, I really want to just enjoy the match. I want normal crowd noise.
And that is going to further perpetuate my point. Because without an audience, pure wrestling sucks in sports entertainment. And that is a bold statement. But it's because without crowd reaction or pandering to the crowd or working the crowd, you're literally in there just pretending to fight or wrestle a guy.
Go figure. That's what it is anyway.
It is.
It's an art.
But if there's no audience to placate to, then what are you doing? You're literally just a guy in the ring pretending to do these things. You're not putting on a show anymore.
Fair. And I do think that Edge's return, which is a big deal, right? He deserves an audience, right? Mm-hmm. Gone for like 9 years. This man deserves audience reaction. Even I would argue to say Roman Reigns going over to Goldberg would essentially deserve audience reaction, right? Whether he cheers or boos. But this situation is unprecedented. We have never been in a situation like this before.
That is true.
And honestly, it'll be kind of cool in a way to be like, oh, this was the one time that we had a WrestleMania without a crowd.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Okay. Like, history is being made here.
So let me ask you, have you ever done something that elicited a response from a group of people? The answer is yes.
Yes.
The answer is yes, because I know you lead physical fitness.
Oh, my God. Why do we end up bringing that up? Okay. I was also in a couple of plays. Keep going. Yeah, I'm
standing up there in front of like 40, 50 people, and you give a command and nobody responds back. How crappy does that feel? Not even crappy, but like, how weird is it when you do something that is meant to elicit a response and nobody does anything back?
It's awkward.
It's a weird feeling. Right? I've been there before.
Right.
Now imagine doing that as your permanent job and going out there and getting nothing back.
That would suck.
So it would suck. Did you watch Monday Night Raw on 3/16 day?
Actually, I did. On my shout out to my mom, her cable access.
Who is the namesake for 3/16 day?
Stone Cold
Steve Austin.
Yes.
So they brought him out there to an empty arena.
They did.
And how weird was it for him to say, let me get a hell yeah. And they cut to an empty arena and nobody responded.
They played off of it because they knew the situation.
Yeah.
And that I did find entertaining a little bit.
In my sick mind, I found it entertaining.
Right, yes.
I found it ironic.
Right.
But whenever Stone Cold goes out there and asks for a hell yeah, he expects thousands of hell yeahs.
Exactly.
In return.
Right.
That's part of his shtick. And when he didn't get it back, I laughed out of awkwardness because I thought it was funny. But I wasn't filled with the same sense of like, oh yeah, Stone Cold's back. I missed this guy. Hell yeah, he's freaking back.
You didn't get that when he threw a couple of stunners or even gave Byron Saxton the classic Shane McMahon stunner with the beer in the mouth?
When Byron Saxton got involved, the segment took a new life for me.
Right.
I was like, okay, Byron's involved now. This is a segment.
We knew they were going somewhere with it. I knew somebody was going to get involved.
I knew Byron Saxton was going to get stunnered at the end.
Right, yeah.
But that first time when he walked out there and talked and there was no crowd reaction, that's when I knew in my mind and in my heart, I was like, Professional wrestling is nothing without an audience.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I don't think they should do WrestleMania, because
well,
Edge,
you say
Edge
that
is coming back
right
off of a X amount of years hiatus to what? Like no cheers? That's why they do it. They do it for the cheers.
They do it for the cheers, but in terms of the promos, they didn't always do promos for professional wrestling, right, in front of crowds.
No,
right?
But that's gotten to the point where professional wrestling is.
Even I enjoyed Edge did a promo. It was the first thing on that Monday Night Raw. Edge did a promo, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he just looked at the camera. You know, he didn't like look at the crowd. He didn't do the awkward thing that some of the wrestlers have done. Act like there's a crowd there. Mm-hmm. He just looked at the camera. And that was a very intense promo, a well-done promo. And it worked for me without any annoying audience chants.
So, yeah, that worked.
You saw that, yeah.
Because he talked to the audience, which is the camera.
Right.
But Stone Cold came out there and talked to an empty arena.
Right.
Which doesn't work. So,
fair.
When you have Edge and Randy Orton go out there to an empty arena, it's going to be awkward and so dissatisfying to watch two legends go at it and have nobody react to anything that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be about their pure wrestling talent, which honestly is like less important in the realm of sports entertainment than it is your personality and the drama that you bring to it. And then not even just them. Who are we talking about? Drew McIntyre.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I know the man deserves a crowd reaction.
Drew McIntyre is my biggest proponent for not having WrestleMania in an empty arena.
You're close to converting me. Close, but keep going.
This man went from being a suck-ass trio called 3MB, which actually wasn't suck-ass. I found him very entertaining.
Actually, I did find him suck-ass. Keep going.
They were I found them very entertaining. Could not take them seriously as wrestlers or serious contenders for any kind of title.
Right.
But they did it anyway. Drew McIntyre left the company, rebuilt himself.
Yeah, reinvented it completely. Looks good.
Jacked himself up, wrestled in the Indies, only to come back. He didn't even come back to Raw or SmackDown. He came back to NXT and became NXT champion. Like, he didn't even come back to regular TV. And then he had to overcome that.
And then Roman Reigns. For a long time, you know, like.
And his Superman punch.
You know, Drew McIntyre would come to the ring, you know, looking great, having this great look, intense music, but he would be subjected to the Vince McMahon's favorite wrestlers, you know. So, yeah, he has overcome a lot.
He's overcome so much, and he's finally gotten the go-ahead to be the guy. After all these years, I know he's going to win the championship. The only way he doesn't win the championship is if they decide to not let him win and have him win in front of an actual audience later. But
does that ruin the whole Royal Rumble?
I wholeheartedly believe he was scheduled to win at WrestleMania. And if he does that at an empty arena WrestleMania, it'll be so dissatisfying and so disheartening for me as a fan. And to watch him just hold up a belt for nobody, like, to congratulate him, like, that sucks.
I'm pretty sure maybe members of the locker room
of course they will.
I mean, I figure at this point,
but like for TV purposes,
right?
If you see someone go up there and just beat Brock Lesnar in a quiet wrestling match with just some announcers talking about it, it's like, ding, ding, ding! Congratulations, Drew McIntyre won. No fanfare.
Okay, here's another question. What would you have WWE do? What would you tell Vince McMahon to do?
I would. Oh man, it would be so drastic from what they normally do on regular TV or pay-per-views. I would have each of them come out and be just like nasty as hell. Like, don't placate to the empty seats like I've seen some of them do
which is a mistake
on SmackDown on Raw.
Right.
Just come out, eyes locked on their opponent, not doing any of the flashy like moves that they do, like let's say Johnny Nitro or whatever his name, John Morrison.
That's right.
Let's take John Morrison, for instance. When he comes out for his entrance, he does a pose, and the camera does a slow-mo, and then he walks to the entrance.
Mm-hmm.
Why would he do that if there's no audience and just one man waiting for him in the ring?
I agree with you there, because as we saw Stone Cold when he went to the ring, he did his classic four corners.
He did. For nobody.
For nobody. Yes. That was
it wasn't as
required
bad as like I thought it would be, but it was not required.
Right.
Why would he do that? If I was
old habits die hard.
So instead of all right, I'll get back to what they should do for WrestleMania, but I'm going to tie in what they should have done for Stone Cold in that moment. What they should have done is told Steve Austin to go out there and play to the announcers, the only actual humans in the arena, and just go out there and like lean on the ropes and give the bird to those three dudes and just like talk trash to them, whatever trash he does.
Well, see, here's the thing, is that when Stone Cold went out there, he was initially playing to us, the audience, us sitting at home.
Yeah.
I was watching,
But he didn't look at the camera when he did his double birds on the corners of the thing.
And he did. Yeah, I agree. That's true. And it didn't get interesting, as you said before, until Brian Saxon.
It could be muscle memory. It could be.
I really feel it's muscle memory.
I think so. I think it was lack of instruction to address the cameras or do anything different besides what they've known for a long time.
Forever. Yeah.
So I can't fault them for that, but I do think they need to instruct them that the mentality needs to be different.
Somebody should say, do what Edge did, because Edge, like I said, Edge's promo was perfect. That's perfect, right.
He only talked to the camera. He didn't turn to the empty seats and talk in the open air.
Right.
Like, who did that? That really annoyed me. Bayley and Sasha.
Oh my God, yeah, that was
for SmackDown.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
they came out there. They stood in front of the announcers. Triple H and the other guys.
Triple H, Michael Cole, and they shot a promo as if they were talking to an audience that wasn't there, which is dumb. They should have talked either to the camera or talked to like the entranceway as if they're talking to whoever's going to come out next. Right.
Or talk to the announcers. Like,
I guess it just depends, because there was a segment with Cena and Bray Wyatt, and Bray Wyatt was sitting in the audience, and he came out, which was great, by the way.
Yeah.
Came into the ring and confronted John Cena, and Bray Wyatt's focus was, straight on John Cena. He didn't play anybody in the audience, whatever. But I think it kind of just depends on who the wrestler is and do they know what the hell they're doing.
Yes. Yeah, so the people that go out there and just go through the motions, I can tell they don't have like that mentality of like, who am I really doing this for? Am I doing this as a job, or am I doing this to play to these people who are actually paying attention to what's going on in the ring? And so going back to what I think they should do is instruct, if they're going to go through with WrestleMania with an empty arena, they need to instruct all their talent to address only the camera or the real life human beings that are in the arena watching them, which is the announcers, the color commentary. I feel like that's the only thing they should do. And if they're going to do that, they need to make the action about their opponent only, instead of going out there and giving an open-ended promo, which is not meant for an audience that isn't there. Right.
I agree with that, and I just have the fear that it won't happen because there's nobody in the back. I mean, sure, you have Paul Heyman and stuff like that, but in terms of like the writers and whatnot, we have balls,
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a couple backstage segments, not on Raw or SmackDown or anything, but like on different like YouTube videos of interviews or backstage moments where they catch them candidly.
Right.
Seeing like Vince Russo talk to the talent, and he's very down to earth with them.
Right, exactly.
And the way he instructs them to do things is very real time and congruent with what's going on at the moment.
Exactly.
Like I saw him do something with Mankind.
Yeah, Mick Foley. Yeah, it was a Dude Love.
Dude Love.
Yeah, exactly.
You and I must have seen the same thing. I can't remember what it's from right now off the top of my head, but he was in, Mick Foley was about to go debut as Dude Love.
Right. And
he was like, what should I do when I go out there? And Vince Russo's like, I got a ton of one-liners right here. And he's like reading them off to him off this list that he's got. He's like, you can just play off all of this right here. And he's like, so I got this bandana. What should I do with it when I go out there? Or should I wear a bandana? Should I keep it? And he goes, when you get out there, throw it into the crowd. And then you know what? Everyone's going to want a Dude Love bandana. And that's merchandise. Right. And that's money in your pocket. And I feel like the writers now don't have that same wrestling and business mentality. I feel like they're writing to write, not writing to bring in business and merchandise.
Take care of the wrestler, the talent.
And protect the talent and the art of professional wrestling.
Right, exactly. Yeah, Vince was great for that. And you know who showed up at the end of that little video?
Who's that?
The great one. Shawn Michaels. So I just wanted to throw that in there. I had to throw that in there. Sorry, I couldn't help it. But you're absolutely right. I was going to say in conclusion, I almost forgot one key factor here that they recently announced. The signing of Rob Gronkowski. And I'm currently, ladies and gentlemen, talking to a fan of Tom Brady. So I assume you support the Patriots at one point or another.
While Tom Brady was a Patriot,
yes. So what do you think about the signing Rob Gronkowski? Because he's supposed to be the host of WrestleMania, I believe, for both nights because it's a 2-night event.
So I've read that. I just don't know what kind of capacity he's going to fill after that. I suspect that it's more than just WrestleMania, or else it wouldn't be like that big of a deal, them signing him to a contract or it taking so long.
I have my concerns, but keep going.
Oh, I have heavy concerns if they're going to keep him after the host of WrestleMania.
I have concerns for him being the host of this WrestleMania. I mean, I know people like to give him credit for that one WrestleMania.
Empty arena WrestleMania?
Yeah,
is that what you're talking about?
Not just empty arena WrestleMania, but WrestleMania period. I mean, sure, he showed up at the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, which has become a joke in the last couple of years anyway. But he helped Mojo and everything like that. And he looked good. He looked good, right? But and I've seen him on the mic on Fox and everything like that. But the WWE is a completely different beast. What's he gonna bring to the table besides being Gronk? And is he actually ever gonna wrestle while he's in a WWE contract?
I hope he
Lawrence Taylor, the great Lawrence Taylor, one of the greatest linebackers in NFL history, by the way, did wrestle Bam Bam Bigelow at one of the WrestleManias, I believe. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure he did. And he looked good.
WrestleMania 10.
See,
that's what I want to say.
So you don't see Gronk doing that and stepping up to obviously not this WrestleMania, right? Because he's Raw or Green, rather.
So I don't agree with modern superstars who are not professional wrestling oriented jumping in and doing anything like they were back in the day.
Even with Stephen Amell? You didn't like Stephen Amell doing it from Arrow?
No.
Really? You didn't like that?
I didn't.
Because I'm an Arrow guy. I was.
No, my whole belief in that is because popular culture and social media, everything is just so transparent nowadays.
Right.
And so it doesn't matter if... Was it Sean Amell? Is that his name?
Stephen Amell.
Stephen Amell.
Yeah.
Stephen Amell comes in there. I'm sure he learned a few wrestling moves.
Right.
They trained him up a little bit. But they only brought him in for that. And you knew it was for a stunt only.
Right.
Whereas I feel like WrestleMania 10, when they brought Lawrence Taylor in, they're like, oh, Lawrence Taylor is a beast. Of course he's going to go in there and go head-to-head with Bam Bam Bigelow. They're going to brawl it out. But
You don't think Stephen Amell? I mean, he did a lot considering he's an actor, very athletic.
He did a lot of spots.
He did a lot of spots, which is impressive, I believe.
Yeah, I agree. He did a lot of spots, which is good for the new age pro wrestling.
He did more than, let's say, it wasn't WrestleMania, but it was Raw, like, Mayweather or a la Hugh Jackman.
I was just thinking that.
You're just thinking, what's his name for the wrestler? Mickey Rourke.
Oh my God!
Was that Chris Jericho or something like that, or
did Mickey Rourke get in there?
I know he was involved in some form of capacity.
Mickey Rourke never got in the ring.
He never got in the ring at all. I know he was involved.
Not the WWE ring.
Are you sure?
Mickey Rourke never did a match.
He did do a. You might have.
He might have been like a Hugh Jackman type thing.
Right. Okay. Yeah, you might not have been in the match. You're probably right. But yeah, I think Stephen Amell did decent. But you're overall saying you don't like celebrities at all. Even like Mike Tyson, that was a great involvement of Mike Tyson.
Oh my God,
Stone Cold versus
great.
Shawn Michaels.
It was great.
Quick count, by the way. Quick count.
It was great because he didn't wrestle. And you can't incorporate real live athletes into WWE.
Wait a minute. I have another one because I was a WCW guy. Dennis Rodman and Karl Malone. Karl Malone with DDP and Dennis Rodman with NWO.
If anybody listens to this, I'm hanging my head down.
Yeah, between us both, obviously I watch more WCW than this guy. Whatever, that's fine. Be that as it may.
WrestleMania 11 was Lawrence Taylor and Bam Bam, by the way.
Oh, it was WrestleMania 11? Okay,
yeah, I just want to correct myself there.
Okay, cool. But,
go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying with Dennis Rodman, Jay Leno, they every year laughing at it. I'm not going to mention what's his name from Ready to Rumble. Ready to Rumble, the movie. The actor that he beat, I believe he beat Booker T at one point. He won the WCW title. And that actor, David Arquette. I wasn't going to mention him.
That's not Courtney Cox.
You think Courtney Cox, right. That's not a great moment. But in terms of, like I said, Dennis Rodman, Jay Leno, Karl Malone, that was well done. It was entertaining. So you can involve celebrities and athletes. I mean, even Shaq. Shaq was involved in a couple moments in professional wrestling.
So you can, I agree with involving them in moments, but not as like
full on matches, like
contestants in a match.
Right.
I don't like that.
Right. Fair.
Yeah, I don't like it at all.
So you don't want to see Rob Gronkowski ever in a match?
No, I don't at all.
You don't even want to give him the opportunity, like the greatest women's UFC fighter of all time, Ronda Rousey, right? She put in the work.
I hate that she was part of WWE.
Really? I never knew that.
Oh, yeah. I don't like it at all.
Even though she was actually pretty good. Would you admit that? Because she was.
That is a whole different conversation.
That is a whole different conversation. But we are talking about athletes and their involvement in professional wrestling.
I respect Ronda Rousey as a fighter and a UFC champion. WWE wrestler, not so much.
Why not?
Because she took it too far. She was okay at first, but she did take it too far, especially with her promos with Becky Lynch.
I mean, was that on her? I mean, for the longest time, she was booked as a face of this whole thing. And then they finally decided, like, okay, let's take advantage of her and make her.
Well, when she took it too far, I don't mean she, overstepped the boundaries of a promo.
Mm-hmm.
I think she overstepped the boundaries of reality and pro wrestling. Thank you.
What are you drinking, by the way?
We're going to edit that out.
No, go ahead. What are you drinking?
Right now, I am sipping on Jim Beam and Coke Zero.
What's the deal with Coke Zero? I know
we're out of a highball glass right now.
Let's not forget that we are talking about professional wrestling, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are talking about Ronda Rousey, but I need to interject here. I didn't understand.
This allows me to talk uninhibited.
Yeah.
About how I feel about all of this.
Yeah, but what's the deal with Coke Zero? Why Coke Zero? Tell it to the men out there that are listening and try to give her some respect back.
Number one, I like the flavor of Coke Zero.
Okay.
Number two, I don't like the sugary content of regular Coke. It's too much for me to handle. Not in a way that I can't handle it. I'm going to edit that out. I don't like the sugary content of Coke, regular Coke.
Okay.
I feel like it's unnecessary because I just don't drink soda to begin with. I only drink soda when I drink it as a mixer with liquor.
Same here. Well done.
So, and also I know that sugar accentuates the effects of alcohol. And so
are you judging my Dr. Pepper and Jimmy? Was that correct?
Man, all the way am I judging you.
You are judging me?
Just kidding. No, I don't judge anybody for that. I just don't like drinking extra sugar because, I work in healthcare, and even though I know alcohol just across the board is not conducive to your overall health, I just don't like added sugar in most of my food.
Respect.
And that might not make sense to a lot of people.
You know
but it makes sense to me.
You know who I think likes sugar?
Who's that?
And who's a great wrestler? Ronda Rousey. That's who I think likes sugar, a great wrestler. So back to the topic at hand. You just dissed Ronda. I know we're trying off a little bit.
I don't like Ronda as a pro wrestler. And strictly for the fact that she called out Becky Lynch on social media by calling her by her real human name.
Oh, was that the thing on Instagram or something that she posted during her? Yeah, I forgot about that.
She did like a video call out where she called her out by her real name. And I don't care what anyone says. Like, she crossed the line of kayfabe. Kayfabe is not dead.
In whose world?
It is...
Maybe in yours, but keep going.
Diminished. It's diminished. But without kayfabe, you don't have pro wrestling. Because
it sounds like
without kayfabe, pro wrestling is fake.
That's so funny because, and we're going to trail off a little bit here, ladies and gentlemen, but I sent you today a video of Undertaker with his wife, Michelle McCool, in a pool advertising for a tiger and saving the tigers. Ladies and gentlemen, Undertaker's supposed to be undead, right? He's supposed to be the dead man.
He's
dead
not
man.
Dead, is he?
He's not dead. He's in a pool, struggling to get the words right from the little screen that he's reading for, the little whatever, little billboard that he's reading from. Okay, so in this essence, I believe kayfabe has been dead for a while, my friend. So I'm not saying Ronda Rousey is justified. I'm just saying that you're arguing about kayfabe when we see Undertaker post things on Instagram like it's nothing. So, or wrestlers in general, period, today.
I gotta
social media.
I gotta say, in today's age, you gotta take kayfabe in one of two ways. Kayfabe is dead in the fact that you think your wrestling characters are real outside of TV and the arena.
Okay.
In that case, it is dead. You can't preserve that. You can't preserve the fact that a babyface and a heel are feuding, but they're going to go about their daily lives on social media and pretend like they're not going to keep it up.
There are certain situations where it crosses that line. When The Rock and John Cena had those two WrestleManias back to back, whatever, they was at a point where The Rock was away from wrestling for a while, so he had some of the lines written on his wrist. Right. Yeah. And John Cena called him out for it, which, of course, pissed off Mr. Dwayne Johnson. In that case, there was some built tension between those two that was believable.
So I feel like that's within the limits. Mm-hmm. But the specific instance I'm talking about is watching people live their private, personal lives on Instagram,
right,
versus trying to preserve the character that they have on TV. And when Ronda Rousey got on Instagram and called out Becky Lynch by her real name and said, "Your armbar is bullshit. I could make you tap out, or I could whoop your ass so much faster if it wasn't for this fake wrestling stuff." She didn't say the words fake wrestling stuff, but essentially she did.
She did disrespect. I do recall.
So
That's right.
she disrespected the art of pro wrestling. And when she did that, in my mind, I was like, she may be talented, but she doesn't get it. And getting it, air quotes, is the most important thing when it comes to professional wrestling.
Well, let me jump in there real quick. Rhonda, I'm not trying to defend her in this case, but clearly she was not used to how the wrestling community reacts to certain things like that. Yeah, she's not. You know, it's not like
she's a real-time athlete.
Right.
She competed in Ultimate Fighting.
Right.
Where the stakes are real. And that is case in point why I don't agree with real. Not to say that WWE superstars are not real athletes, but like
they definitely are athletic.
They are super athletic. Yes. But real sports that actually play for something that's not predetermined or scripted,
okay,
should not come into a world that is predetermined or scripted.
Do you know why it happens, right? You know why, because it gets publicity.
I know why they do
interest.
It generates interest.
Right.
So the common man that doesn't really care for professional wrestling or sports entertainment.
Easy events, keep going.
Whatever you want to call it. Like, you could take an NFL super fan. Let's take somebody living in Boston who's a huge Pats fan.
Exactly. Kind of probably disappointed that Tom Brady left, but keep going.
Yeah. But they hear Gronk is going to show up for this show called WrestleMania. And you remember liking wrestling in the late 90s. Like, oh, yeah. I remember Stone Cold. Gronk's going to do this? That's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to perk up your interest. You might even purchase WrestleMania to see what Gronkowski's going to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And to that effect, I see why they do that. But as far as them getting in the ring and being wrestlers, I don't agree with it.
So I just had a light bulb in my head that reminded me of something, because we were just talking about Ronda Rousey, who was in the UFC. You may recall that, as you know, WWE likes to go to Saudi Arabia all the time and everything like that. And there was a match between Brock Lesnar and another UFC guy that was actually kind of disastrous. What's that guy's name? He's one of the one that was protecting Rey Mysterio.
Cain Velasquez.
Cain Velasquez, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty sure when Cain Velasquez came over, you were like, what the hell? Another athlete.
Yeah.
But once again, Cain Velasquez has shown, I've seen some highlights on Twitter and whatnot, of his ability to adapt to the wrestling world when he was doing some wrestling over in Mexico and stuff like that. So he was trying to learn the art. I mean, do you have an issue if someone tries to like learn it and like wants to be a wrestler if they were originally an athlete? I mean, Goldberg played in the NFL.
I respect the effort.
He doesn't like Goldberg. Bad example.
I don't
keep going.
like Goldberg.
Yeah, bad example. Keep going.
I respect the effort, but once you see a person compete in a different realm as WWE, that kind of sticks with you.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, if I see anybody compete for real stakes, I can't take them seriously when I see them step into WWE, because after years of watching, I can, like, I'm not a little kid anymore. Like, WWE is obviously not real.
It isn't? Keep going.
If anybody listens to this, it's very real. It's just predetermined and scripted.
Well, so sorry.
Sorry if you're a little kid that believes in it. I just don't. It makes me feel uncomfortable to see a professional athlete outside of WWE step in and kind of pretend to compete instead of actually compete.
Right.
Only because I myself can differentiate between the two. And maybe as a kid, you don't care. You don't see it. Like, as a kid, when I saw Lawrence Taylor at WrestleMania 11.
It was actually a decent match, by the way. Keep going.
Yeah, when I look back as an adult, I'm like, all right, this is pretty well done. But like, as a kid, I'm like, oh my gosh, Lawrence Taylor is coming out of football to fight in wrestling, to wrestling Bam Bam Bigelow.
Who deserves to be in the Hall of Fame? Keep going. Shout out Bam Bam.
So as a kid, I understand it. But, I mean, gosh. As an adult, man, being a wrestling fan is so deep-seated that it reaches across different spectrums of fan bases.
Sure.
You got the kids who will believe everything. You got the adults who are kind of like hanging on to it. And then you got the adults who are like, I really appreciate it for the art that it is.
Mm-hmm.
But when they watch WWE, they're like, it's kind of insulting to them. And that's why the marks are so pissed off with the product.
The marks. Exactly.
Exactly. Like, that's why the marks don't like WWE, because it is a realm of pro wrestling in itself.
Right. And it tries to get some mainstream attention.
Mainstream attention. It doesn't follow the rules of pro wrestling.
Right.
It's entertainment.
It's entertainment. Which I want to bring up once again. And just to finish off with this, Cain Velasquez, Ronda Rousey, Tank Abbott, I don't know, Shane, what's his name? Shamrock.
Ken Shamrock.
Yeah. Okay. So you just don't like athletes, period.
So having said what I said, now at my age, I don't like it. But as a kid, I didn't know the difference.
Even Shamrock, too. World's most dangerous man.
I was a kid.
Right.
I didn't know what Ken Shamrock did before he came there.
Okay.
All I know is that he was billed as the most dangerous man. I was like, why?
I don't know. Pretty badass theme
music, by the way. He was an Ultimate Fighter? Cool.
Right.
But I didn't know what Ultimate Fighting was.
Gotcha.
Now that I'm an adult and I can watch all of his fights on YouTube, I'm like, oh, now I know what Ken Shamrock did before he went to WWE.
Even if I'm going to say this one last time, even if Cain Velasquez is wrestling in Mexico, learning the art, and you have Ronda Rousey going on the road, house shows even, learning the craft of wrestling, it's
too late for me.
Too late for you. Okay. Okay,
I'm old enough to know the difference.
Right.
And I'm old enough to be able to research them and see what they've done beforehand.
In conclusion, we're going back maybe about 10 minutes, but Rob Gronkowski, keep him out of the ring. Is that what you're saying?
Keep him out of the ring. Keep Rob Gronkowski out of the ring. Have him be a character or personality, manager, WrestleMania host. Definitely not an in-ring talent.
Well, the date is March 20th, 10:24 p.m. And I want to say this right now. I guarantee it, and the Rock means guarantee that at some point during this contract of Rob Gronkowski, I feel like it's 2 years. I could be wrong. I feel like I read 2 years at some point, maybe more, maybe less, that he will be in the ring. Not this WrestleMania, but at some point he will be in the ring, much to your dismay and anger.
And if he does, I can't blame the WWE, but my personal feelings will always disagree with it.
Okay.
And that is what it is.
All right. So we covered that with the Rob Gronkowski thing. We covered that you disagree with a crowdless WrestleMania.
So I understand a crowdless WrestleMania.
Right.
And the only point I didn't make to that was that I think the only reason they're doing it, instead of postponing it or canceling it, is because WWE / Vince McMahon has such a high bravado about never having canceled or not done a show in 20 plus years. They started Monday Night Raw in 93. They haven't missed a broadcast of Raw since then.
That's a good point.
They have never skipped a pay-per-view that they've built since then.
That's a good point.
And I think the pride of never having done that is taking over. So I think they're trying to keep it going because they have so much pride in never having canceled or postponed anything that's been built for television ever.
You know what's sad about that is that it's an opportunity to, one, and some people have always talked about this on the internet and whatnot, is give the wrestlers time off. Mm-hmm. That in watching some of these shows with no crowd, and I told you sometimes I've been entertained by it, but this past Raw was pure filler. They played the whole
entire Royal Rumble.
Yes.
Yeah.
You might as well have just made Raw a 2-hour show, which it should be, not 3. Bless you. Don't worry, he doesn't have corona. Not 3. 3 hours is a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, a whole entire 3-hour block of a television program where you're going to show an hour of it is a month-old pay-per-view program, as if you're doing the public a service.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of a Saturday morning at my grandma's house, 1998. I turn on the TV. It's maybe around 11 or 12 o'clock, and I'm watching WWF Shotgun or whatever the heck. And they replay. There's like maybe 2 or 3 matches, and they replay everything that happened the previous week or Monday Night Raw. That's what it reminded me of.
That's what WWE Superstars is.
Yeah, WWE Superstars, right.
That's what that is.
Exactly. And that's not what it should be. It's supposed to be Monday Night Raw. At this point, if it's that bad, you should probably actually do something like SmackDown did to a point, or cancel it completely, you know?
Yeah, I just think the pride is there. They've never canceled a show. And I guarantee they're sitting behind closed doors being like, I'll be damned if I'm going to cancel a show because of this. Like, we're not going to ruin like this thing that we have going.
Right.
And so I understand that going into the television broadcasts and WrestleMania. I just think they need to, maybe not even postpone WrestleMania, but just really change how they go about it. Like, they need to tell all their talents, address the camera, address your opponent only. Don't go out there and go through the motions.
I feel like they're not.
This is going to be a crap WrestleMania.
At the Performance Center.
But they need to make the matches shorter.
Okay.
More meaningful. And since it's literally going to be a laser focus on the match, instead of like reactions of the crowd and everything like that, they need to make them more, more meaningful technical work.
You know, I think they should take lessons from, if they are going to pre-record this, the final deletion.
Best there is, best there was, and best there ever will be.
No, no Bret Hart plug here. I'm talking about the final deletion of Matt Hardy, where it was all recorded. Not to say like that was very cheesy, mind you, but hilarious at the same time. But it's probably where they should be inspired from at this point, because that was no audience, right?
Yeah.
In the background, it was like watching a movie, right?
Yeah.
That's the only way it kind of works in that way.
Yeah, it's
even though they just got rid of Matt Hardy, but
it's
shout out to
uncharted waters for them to have a WrestleMania in the situation. I think if they want to keep the big match stakes, they need to just like really. We have 2 weeks till WrestleMania?
2 weeks, yes.
They need to have the talent on the next Raw. Just really reel it in and make each match super personal and super intimate.
Intimate. But I see what you're going with it.
In a non-sexual way, of course. Be like,
I understand where you're going with that.
If you're saying like Drew McIntyre and Brock Lesnar,
yeah, because Brock is supposed to be on Raw this coming Monday. Yeah,
you can't cut these promos that are meant for crowd reactions. You got to cut these promos.
Well, Paul Heyman is going to be cutting the promo, and I feel like Paul Heyman knows what he's doing.
Paul Heyman, I think, is the smartest dude in creative. Right,
exactly.
But if these promos are going to be done right, they need to like go for the throat. They need to be deep. They can't just
kind of like Edge, basically.
Yeah, exactly. They can't just be like open-ended promos like, I'm going to go out there and beat Brock Lesnar's ass and become the World Heavyweight Champion and like expect a reaction to that.
Yeah, like a Roman Reigns promo would rely on a crowd reaction after he talks. Yeah.
Like if I was Drew McIntyre, I would look right into the camera and be like, you think that you've been such a dominant force in the WWE for so long that you are unbeatable. Like, I'm going to come in there with no audience and just straight up beat you.
Claymore.
I am going to pin you 1, 2, 3 with no one watching. It's just going to be me and you, man to man, and you're going to know at the end of the day who the better man was, and this be the guy that pinned you. And that's all that's going to matter. And I'm going to be the WWE champion afterwards.
I like it. The only thing I don't like is kind of what you said earlier. The fact there's no crowd reaction for Drew as much as he deserves it.
He definitely deserves it.
I don't think they should, waste this Royal Rumble win. Have the man win, dethrone Brock. As much as people hate Brock, when he does wrestle, he's been great. That man knows how to,
like everyone else does.
He knows how to perform in the ring. He knows how to tell a story.
He's that character, like Paul Heyman says. Like it's like Christmas. If Christmas was every day, you wouldn't care about it,
right?
But since it's once a year, everybody spends 2 months building up to it.
Right, exactly.
So, do you want to see Christmas every Monday night on Raw? Or do you want to see Christmas every now and again? And when you hear Christmas is showing up, you're going to be like, oh my God.
Right.
Christmas is coming early?
Christmas is coming early. That being said, Brock, add to your moves, man. I need to see some belly-to-belly suplexes, some, German suplexes, maybe some vertical suplexes, snap suplexes, with a bridge, something different that you used to do.
Some perfect plexes.
Just a little bit of something different that you used to do in 2002.
I can appreciate that desire.
Yeah.
I think Brock Lesnar is perfect the way he is.
Of course you do. This is the same guy that disrespects Bill Goldberg. But anyway, before we get to the Bill Goldberg, that's a whole different conversation. But in conclusion, you think WrestleMania should not happen or should be postponed. I feel that this is an opportunity to give to the masses, those that are being forced to stay in their homes due to COVID-19. And I'm sticking to it. You?
I definitely agree that I think WrestleMania should just be canceled altogether and postponed.
Bah, humbug.
Even though all this buildup is leading up to a certain date, I don't even need to think they need to replace it. I think they should just skip the date and push it. That should be their next pay-per-view, no matter what they have lined up.
John Cena probably will not be able to meet that.
He definitely will.
I mean, John Cena's schedule is... the man's a Hollywood star now. He's a Hollywood star. Hey, come on. You got to admit, the man is trying to make sure...
If anyone's listening, I'm just staring off into the distance and smiling.
It's true. As much as that man has said, he used to diss The Rock for doing that, right?
But sucks that people and events are booked for a certain date.
Right.
It just makes it tricky, but I just hate the idea of an empty arena at WrestleMania.
Right. Well, it's going to happen, whether you like it or not.
And I hate to admit, I honestly don't have better options.
You mean in terms of what to watch?
No, as far as replacing the date.
Right.
If they're not going to do it, what are they going to do as far as the work they've done to build up to it?
Right.
I really have no answer to that. I guess if I were to summarize, I just strictly hate the idea of an audience-less WrestleMania. But
granted,
I have no better options at this point because I understand the business and I understand booking.
Yeah, the book. Yeah, exactly.
So it's just one of those things that sucks.
As you can see, me and Kevin have different opinions of how WWE should handle the no audience situation. That's neither here nor there. We're still buddies, and variety is life, right? So that was just the first part of the podcast. If you guys are interested in listening to the next one, it'll be uploaded soon to Libsyn and available on iTunes and Spotify. Other than that, we'll catch you next time. Laters.